Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Major 4 begin today. It was meant to be at this beautiful venue, the King's Theatre in New York. No longer the case though. It did the same venue they did the Pro-Am Classic at last season in Columbus. But nonetheless, going to be a great weekend of Call of Duty. OpTic Texas going as favourites. Scump and FormaL believe it might be time for Dashy to step up to another MVP weekends. FormaL certainly thinks that should be the case. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Bit of drama first of all on the watch party side of things. Obviously, well, these are the names. I'll just bring them up on screen right here. I know some people have said, Rab, why didn't you do a watch party yourself? Which I've thought about it. I think they'd probably say yes if I did ask to do one. Frankly, though, I spend the majority of my day already doing Call of Duty, Valorant, and Formula 1 stuff, content-wise. So, and streaming, I find streaming really tiring. I don't know if you guys, if you have experience streaming your stuff, I, give a lot of credit to these guys that can stream, 8 to 12 hours a day consistently, because that is a mega task. I find it super draining. So, I just prefer in the evening to just chill and watch the games rather than actually turn a stream on. So, probably no watch parties for the near future. Who knows? Maybe that'll change in the future. But anyway, these are the watch party names. Pretty cool stuff. We've got some interesting characters on here. Toho, I thought, Call of Duty legend from the Spanish scene. Pescaro from Breaker Point's on here. Zeke as well. French player, I believe. Method Sick, another OG Spanish player. TP, of course, right down at the bottom here for some reason. Rated as well. So, some notable names. But BoZe wasn't on it. So we've got Scump and Methods here. And, of course, the flanker on here as well. So I'm guessing Zinni might be staying in Texas and Scump and co are going to fly out there to Columbus to do the watch party in person there. So I'm guessing Zinni's going to do his own one. Now, as BoZe says, eat beef. Now, he doesn't seem too happy about this. Now, BoZe also did another tweet after this, which he deleted it this morning, and it said something, it was weirdly worded, but it was kind of something like, you know who the real ones are type thing. I think he was talking about this situation. And it seems like he wanted to do his own watch party, but maybe got rejected by the league because they only want a certain number. So pretty interesting that BoZe wasn't happy about this, it seems. Whether he wasn't happy about them just not putting his face on there, or whether he was actually not, not allowed and not permitted to do the watch party on his own. Because, I don't know, I've been really enjoying the BoZe renaissance lately. To be honest, whenever I tune into Scump's watch party, it's generally just to listen to BoZe, because it's kind of super entertaining. So, yeah, maybe no BoZe. Even though he did say in the replies to this tweet, there was another response and he said, I'm landing in Columbus soon, so, they'll see me in person type thing. So I'm guessing he's going to be on Scump's watch party in person, which I suppose is still good. But yeah, bit of interesting drama to discuss there. Speaking of Donny Temp as well, just wanted to mention his new track is now out. Maybe one of the best ones he's done. I know that I asked him in person back in Boston, when his next track was covered, and he said that he wants to focus on making champs first, but he's obviously been cooking up some other stuff behind the scenes, and it's good as a bit of downtime for him. You can't play Call of Duty 16 hours a day. Good to have other hobbies as well, of course, and Temp's been doing some great Q&As lately also. He also mentioned that he reckons Scump is his greatest of all time in the Call of Duty sense, and he also mentioned the scariest player ever to play is probably FormaL, and we're going to talk about these two characters in the coming minutes as well. Going into this event though, Major 4, remarkable to think that Clayster has now played 90 events in his career. Octane's been around a while, but he's already on 63, which is quite a lot. You think about it, right? Octane's been 63 events, Clayster's been at 90, Slasher at 70, accuracy 55, even the likes of Cammy is down here at 32. He's been around quite a while, pre-CDL, played quite a few events in Black Ops 4 and stuff like that as well. So these are the numbers. Dashy now at 37 up to this event, and of course going to be 38 after this weekend's. London, they need to improve. The funny thing is actually, the worst, it doesn't matter how badly they place this event, their average placing will get better, because their average placing right now is 13.33, because somehow they got 16th at Major 1 because it was a prime event, 16 teams. They came dead last that event. They've come dead last ever since then as well, and they probably play Minnesota Rokkr first round of losers. They might play LA Thieves if somehow Rokkr make it work, but yeah, their average placing regardless, London, will get better. But if they come last, it will still be worse than 12th somehow, which is still pretty impressive. So all the teams are out there now. I know Ghosty and Shotzzy are having a bit of a rock, paper, scissors battle right here. We know the chemistry on this team is absolutely immense. Dashy's got to keep these guys in check, and it's kind of funny in a way that Dashy now turned yesterday 24, and I feel like Dashy is still considered a young gun, is he not? I know Ronnie made a comment on Reddit I thought was kind of funny. CDL Schedule, he was like, people stop considering them young guns when they fall off a bit type thing. So Dashy in most people's minds, at least in my head, he's still kind of a youngish player, right? But Dashy really is a veteran now. This guy's been around for 6 years pretty much. He came in Infinite Warfare 2017, played at the Infinite Warfare World Championship that year. Next year in World War II was on Complexity for a while, and eventually got on OpTic in 2018 late that year, and has been around ever since then. So kind of incredible to think that Dashy's now 24, given it feels like he's still part of that kind of like young crop of next generation of players that are 20, 21, 22, but still, he's effectively the veteran of the team, right? And this is what the question has been from the likes of FormaL over the last few years. Is Dashy going to step up into that kind of leadership element of the team? Not necessarily that even means the comms, but just maybe out of game stuff as well, like being the veteran, as it were, from this roster, like, you know, keeping them in check. And Dashy gives some thoughts of that in a second. But yeah, happy birthday to Dashy, of course, for yesterday. Cellium says, happy birthday, Brucey. I do wonder whether these two will ever team up at some point in this career. I know there's been some talk from Cellium and Dashy over the last few days that they go way back in terms of a duo-ship, and they've never teamed up in the CWL or CDL, right? Cellium came in during the Black Ops 4 season, he's been on FaZe, Dashy's been on OpTic, so it's never really happened. But at some point, I wouldn't be surprised if before the end of their careers, Dashy and Cell at some point do team up. I mean, we even thought it might happen last season, right? With the Arcitys thing and Dashy getting dropped, it was at least on the cards before Dashy made the return to OpTic. And as Scump says, happy birthday, big dog. I sense big things in your near future. We know that Scump made the point very clear when Scump retired that Dashy is the next, so I'm falling down so you can rise up, or whatever it was he said. Put the pressure very much on Dashy to deliver in and out of the game. And this is the weekend to capitalize on that, right? Dashy's only won 2 events in his career. It seems remarkable to think that how good Dashy is, how good his shot is, how gassed up he's been for years, to have only won 2 events in his career, both of which he won the MVP outright. Obviously, Las Vegas 2018 and Vanguard 2022 Stage 1 in Texas, but still only 2 events. He has a decent chance to maybe even double his chip count from now to the end of the season with the way OpTic are looking. And it would be quite the story if Scump having retired and said what he said to Dashy, and then Dashy goes on to have a great rest of the season. And even FormaL gives his thoughts. MVP weekend for you for sure, from you for sure. And you know, just the kind of gorilla emojis here in the reply. So yeah, quite the statement here from FormaL to mention that with the birthday buff or whatever going on as well, that Dashy's going to be coming different this weekend. And I think he will certainly need to. The entire team is going to have to fire, I think, on all cylinders here. I don't think they're going to get by on you know, weaker performances from any of their individuals, because there are competitive teams this weekend. We know that OpTic are going in as the favourites pretty much unanimously across the board, but still, it seems like LA Thieves, you can't count them out in some of the respawn modes. Obviously, their teamwork is impeccable. We know what ceiling Thieves can reach. They've done it before. They are the reigning world champions. There's an argument to say that Thieves could even break the record for the longest ever team like that's actually stuck together. You know, their chemistry is immense as it stands. Every piece of the team seems to work well with every other piece of the team, and if they win something, Thieves, from now to the end of the season, there's a good chance they stick again into next year, and that would be 3 years in a row. Now, I don't think that's a guarantee. With Preds coming on the market, with, I believe, the entirety of the Thieves team being, you know, unrestricted free agents at the end of the year, they will need to sign new contracts. I don't think it's at all guaranteed that Thieves stick into next season, but there's certainly a good chance they do. And this event might be one of the key litmus tests if they do, because if they let's say they play OpTic in the finals, or they play OpTic at some point this tourney and get taken down comfortably, that might be a question for Thieves as to what they do, even going into next year. Wanted to share Rambo's perspective as well. We know that Dashy and Rambo certainly had their fair share of drama earlier on this season, and Rambo, I don't even know exactly what he does really nowadays, because he's no longer involved with the COD team so much. I know it's kind of on a more content perspective. He did turn the stream on yesterday and discuss it, and says, like, he can't really see, if OpTic play how they did online, a world in which they actually lose this tournament.
I have a hard time seeing OpTic not winning this event. I just don't see. I mean, as long as they play their game and they play how they've been playing, obviously, but like, it's not even just because about their 5-0. It's about how they got to their 5-0. I mean, they just look. There's the only map that, I mean, we haven't seen them play Embassy in forever, but like, obviously they're just extremely good at all 4 other maps. So you can't veto properly against them in hardpoint. There's nothing you can do. You're gonna have to play a map they're strong at. So game 1 and 4 are automatically hard to win when you play against them. They've always been a good search team. They're just a really, really hard team to play against right now. So for that reason, I just don't really see. I don't see them losing. I mean, I don't see them losing to anybody on their side of the bracket for sure. I think at the very least they'll make it to winners final, and then you have to assume just based on recency. Like, I mean, the Surge FaZe match will probably be close, but I mean, these other 3 matches in the start should be like. I mean, I don't see. I mean, maybe Boston takes a control.
So quite the statement really from Rambo in terms of how good he feels like this team presently is, but they do have to get past Boston in the first round. That is, of course, coming up today. All business in Ohio, say Boston and Crimp, of course. There's a chance here that Boston come into this series and slay hard, but still lose, because we know that OpTic the other day said, or JP Chris said, the only teams that really give them any trouble are Thieves and Toronto, and obviously FaZe are always going to be a bit of a problem. You can never fully count them out, given how good their search and destroy is. And Boston can win controls. They won the control when they played the other day, but in the hard points, they're just not quite so efficient as OpTic are with their kills. But OpTic have been known historically to come out kind of slow on the first day of the tourney. Of course, today's only Thursday. Boston, unfortunately, don't have Dave Paddy on board to help them out here, but it might be beneficial. And then Thieves also play Rokkr today. I do wonder whether this will continue. Still an incredible stat to actually think about, that there's been 4 matches so far this year in just the 3 or 4 major cycles between Thieves and the Minnesota Rokkr, and it's 12-0 map count in their favour, right? Another chance of that to happen today. The benefit the Rokkr do have here is that they've got, I mean, look how much VOD they've got, right? Thieves will come into this series thinking for sure we're going to win again, right? And Rokkr will come in with 12 maps of VOD to watch, just knowing how Thieves did them dirty the previous time. But of course, you would say that they had the same argument before when they played. You'd imagine Rokkr would be wise enough here to get rid of the Expo control, but we'll see, because Thieves seem very good indeed at that map. And I do wonder if there is an OpTic versus Thieves final on Sunday, like how the Expo control goes, because both of those teams, OpTic and Thieves, are very good at it. Thieves, I'd say, are probably marginally better at that map mode combination right now, so it's going to be an interesting storyline over the weekend, given it is the new map in the rotation this time. Just before we discuss the maps then, wanted to mention, I thought it was kind of unfortunate in a way that I think Lyman only did 2 sets of cards here for the qualifiers, and understandably so, he does all of them after the major finishes, but he did the OpTic ones that were very good, and he did the Guerrillas ones, which were 0 in 5 and not so good. Their hardpoint here, 2 in 6, their search and destroy 1 in 5. The thing is though, their numbers actually aren't so bad. Okay, their numbers are pretty bad on Exceeds front, especially in the search and destroys, but you know, the numbers actually aren't too bad in terms of the KDs at times, especially let's say in control, but their record is just so bad. They just choke perennially, and I believe they play the loser of FaZe and Surge round 1, so it does not get any easier for these guys. We know their season's kind of chalk, but I will say that JoeDeceives individually, out of the 2 SMGs, had a pretty impressive stage. He had some takeover moments, so I think JoeDeceives is kind of showing himself. I know that a lot of these guys are probably just playing for their spot next year, and Arcitys won't have too many difficulties with that, I don't think, as a 2-time world champion, but still, JoeDeceives is making a case that he should still be around the league when we go into next season. Let's talk then about the matches that are going on later today. These are your top 10 KD players from LAN, and we're going to see a lot of them in action coming up very shortly. So it starts with the Minnesota Rokkr versus the Los Angeles Thieves, the DoorDash challenge to start off the day. We'll see if Thieves can get it done. We know Thieves generally very good at these events, like the prime type events. They've always done pretty well at the last couple of seasons. Then the New York guys, though, these are the absolute demons of these type of events. New York Subliners won this event last season. Very different team, of course, but you know, there was Hydra, there was Kismet, they were still around, versus Vegas. This is a huge first couple of series, right? Because these two teams, Minnesota and Vegas, are tied for the final World Championship qualification spot right now. If Vegas were to win this series, or if Minnesota were to win their series, they would guarantee 20 more points on the board. A top 6 placement. If you win this series, you guarantee yourself top 6, and that's 20 points guaranteed. That's a massive deal. So yeah, I think Thieves are going to win the first series. New York should be favored, I think, against Vegas. I know that some people are picking Vegas to win. I really hope that they do, but I'm not so convinced. I feel like New York are going to take it. But if Vegas find a way to win the control in this series, then I actually might be all in on the Vegas hype train. Then Boston versus OpTic. As I say, I think OpTic will probably do a 3-1 job here. I don't think it's going to be super easy, though, their first game of the tournament. If they blow Boston out of the water here, that's a very impressive sign, and it is the case, of course, for any of the series. But the marquee match for me, for sure, FaZe versus Surge, right? Man, these two teams always go at it, and you never really know how to call it. Surge beat them comfortably just the other day, but there were some questionable vetoes in that series for FaZe. I think there's a good chance this one goes game 5. I actually have no idea how to predict this one, but I actually think I'm going to go with the Seattle Surge here, just because the way that they lost in their matchup last time, game 5, round 11 on Embassy, like, you know, that was just brutal for Surge, and surely the COD gods can't let it happen again. But very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.